familiar with coaching? I heard the guy in the Virginia shirt said he has a coach. So yay. Kudos to you. So a couple of you. So when I first got into life coaching back in 1997, can't believe it's been that long. Life coaching was not something that people had heard of a lot. Would you agree with that statement? Yeah. And even today, 22 years later, they're still not familiar with it. You've heard of business coaches. This gentleman has a business coach who he said has helped his business tremendously. And that's what we do as coaches. So as a coach, I work with folks, typically small business owners, who want to take their business to the next level, whatever that level might be. Whether it's an increase in revenue, whether it's an increase in customers, which then could lead to an increase in revenue, whatever that might be. So I want to give you just a little bit of background on coaching, provided my PowerPoint here works. This is my husband, Jeff. This was taken a few years ago. These are my kids, Eli, Rosie, and Buddy. I'm a huge Orioles fan. I think we lost to the A's last night. That was my first 10K that I did in 3.5 weeks. My husband and I are doing our 4th half marathon in Cincinnati, and that's my family. So coaching. Coaching is partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. And a lot of folks call themselves, I'm a life coach, I'm a relationship coach, there's divorce coaches, there's ADHD coaches, like you name it, there's probably a coach for it. But in all reality, all coaching is life coaching because it's all about how to make yourself better. You agree? Yeah, absolutely. As Bill mentioned, my credentials, I have an MBA from Shenandoah University. I have certification from Success Unlimited Network that I got in 2002. I have all of these different assessment certifications, and I'm finishing my last class with Coachville, which will then allow me to become certified as an International Coach Federation coach. And International Coach Federation, that certification is pretty rigorous. And so not a lot of folks go for that. They finish their schooling and that's where they stop. I'm determined that I'm going to get that certification. So here's my coursework. This is what I do. It's 157.5 hours of class time plus 500 hours of coaching. I think that ought to make me a pretty good coach. This is what I do with my clients. So the coach school that I go to, we don't call it work. We call it play. We want people to play. How many of you like to play? We all like to play, right? But how many of us actually do it? Yay, CN does. Woo! Great job. Most people, as we get older, we think play is for kids. Play's not for kids. So, true story, between Christmas and New Year's, I was doing getting my tax stuff ready for my accountant. I spent days working on this because I haven't done anything all year. That's my fault. I spent days working on this. And at the end of it, on New Year's Eve, I said to my husband, at 3 o'clock, I'm done. Regardless of where I am, I'm done. Because I spent too much time doing this. And 3 o'clock came and I said, 5 o'clock, I'm done. Like, I'll quit at 5 o'clock. And that didn't happen either. And at 7 o'clock, New Year's Eve, I said to him, I am done this time. And what I found was that at the end of that, at 7 o'clock on New Year's Eve, I was absolutely drained. Because I had spent so much mental energy working on these taxes that I didn't have any fun. And I was drained. And I was probably in bed at 9 or 10 o'clock on New Year's Eve. So it wasn't a real fun New Year's Eve at our house. My point being that we have to have some fun. So what I do with my clients is I make it a game. We actually play a game. So we talk about what's the outcome that you want. Is it financial freedom? Is it a mastery of some sort? Is it business and career success? Like, what is it that's your ultimate outcome? And then we do what we call the race model. So what are the results? What are the actions? What are the challenges that you might face or did face? And how do we evaluate that so that we don't have those same challenges again in the future? So this is what my folks do, my coaching. This is called the 9 environments of you. So I want you to think about this for a second. You walk into your house, what's the first thing you do?
I go to the bathroom.
You go to the bathroom. That's a great point. Take your shoes off. Debbie, where do you put your shoes?
Right at the back door.
Right at the back door. How many other things are right there at the back door?
Just my shoes.
Just your shoes. Good girl.
Good for you.
What else?
Hug my kids.
Hug your kids. What else?
Talk to the cats.
Talk to the cats.
Yeah.
So when you walk in your door, is there a place where you drop everything?
Yes.
Yes. When you walk in your back door, how does that feel to you?
Great.
How about looking at all of that stuff that's there as you walk in your back door? Now how does it feel to you?
Now that's Rotary in the corner.
I don't know about you, but I walk in and my dining room table is right there. It's a round table like that, and I go, whoosh, and I put everything there. And every time I walk by that table with all of my stuff on it, my energy goes down. Anybody ever had that experience? Yeah. Do you know why? Why do you think that is?
Anxiety is a to-do list.
Anxiety, a to-do list, yes. That's where this comes into play, this 9 environments of you. What I do with my clients is we look at all of these environments, whether it's physical, financial, technology, self, spiritual, relationships. And we scan all of those environments to see what we're tolerating. And by the way, folks, we tolerate a lot of things. Do you agree with that? I see a head nodding. We tolerate a lot of things. So my question to my clients is, why are you tolerating that? Why are you tolerating that? What can you do about it? What can you change? And sometimes you can't change anything, but you can change the way you look at it, right? So we scan all of those environments to see what it is that we could change. Here's some of the services that I offer. I do vision board workshops. Has anybody ever done a vision board workshop?
Tell us what it is.
Tell you what it is. Well, we have a gentleman in the Virginia shirt, right?
Well, it's like I have it all up there where I want to go and what I want to do, and I also use the cast my vision for my employees.
Okay.
And I try to get them to do their vision more, but it's a little bit harder buy-in.
It is a little harder buy-in. So here's what we do. So I have folks who come, they have a big poster board. We have lots and lots of magazines, and they go through and they spend an hour to 2 hours cutting out images, words, pictures, whatever appeals to them at that moment. And then they take those images, words, and pictures, and they put them on that poster board. And then they put it somewhere where they can see it. Because what happens is your subconscious is pretty darn smart. And it will take a look at all of those pictures and images and those words, and it will incorporate them into your body to make those come true. So it's a pretty powerful tool. I love doing them. So if anybody ever wants to do one, let me know, because I love doing them. It's pretty amazing what happens to go back and look at that vision board later and see what actually came to fruition without you actually thinking a lot about it. I do DISC workshops. So I've done a couple of DISC workshops. So who's familiar with the DISC assessment? Yay. What do you like about the DISC assessment?
A little bit different way of thinking about it and thinking about how you interact with other people.
Absolutely.
The challenge, though, is if you fall between a couple of them.
Yes.
Because I do.
Most of us do, right? Who else has done it? I saw another hand.
We did it.
Did you? What do you?
Well, it's realizing who you are and how you interact with others.
Absolutely. So here's something that happened yesterday. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the DISC assessment, here's what it stands for. D stands for dominant, I is influencing, S is steady, C is conscientious. So just so you know, I'm a C, which makes me a perfectionist. I like all of my I's dotted and my T's crossed, and it drives me crazy when I'm reading a book and there are typographical and grammatical errors in it. But here's what happened yesterday. As a result of my DISC assessment, I actually had someone say to me, I need to hire you. And I need to hire you because I know that you have a strong attention to detail. And I have a project that needs a strong attention to detail, so I need to hire you. So that's how I word it. I will also tell you that as a result of learning this DISC assessment and becoming certified in it, it actually saved a friendship for me. So when I first learned this, I had a gentleman who is a high ID, which means the high I means he's a very strong people person. He sees a squirrel and goes that way. He has a lot of energy. The D means that he's dominant, so he is more task oriented in that respect, and it's chop chop, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, right? So for the S and the C's, we're more laid back, we're more slower paced, I'm a task person, but I'm a slower paced task person. My husband is an S. He's a people person, but he's a slower paced people person. So those I's and D's actually drain my energy because they're too fast paced for me. So my friend is a high ID. I could only take him in little tiny segments of time. And initially, I couldn't be in his space because he was so darn, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. And I'm like, whoa, dude, chill out. Like, we don't have to go this fast. It wasn't until I learned these different communication styles that I learned how to interact with him. And I learned that I could only be in his space for a short period of time. So I'm actually having lunch with him tomorrow, and that's about as long as I can handle being with him, right? But I've learned, and I've learned that when I get a text message that says, yep, or nope, that's it. I don't need to ask anymore. I send him a quick text message asking him a question, I get a quick response, that's it, we're done. What happened initially was I took all of that personally. And I thought it was me, and that I had done something wrong, and that I was inferior, whatever the case may be. And then I learned how he operates, and our whole relationship changed. It changed. He's one of my best buds now. I also do individual coaching. So last week I started coaching a gentleman in Japan. That is a pretty wild experience, let me tell you. So we do it at 4:45 on Friday evenings my time. It is 5:45 Saturday morning his time. 13-hour time difference. But it has been amazing, and I'm really enjoying working with him. I also do some leadership coaching. So last fall I studied under Dr. Lance Secretan. I don't know if any of you are familiar with him. He's written many books on leadership. And I learned a different way of coaching with him, so that's been a lot of fun. So that's some of what I do. Who do I work with? I work with business owners who would rather operate from a dream than a mission statement. So how many of you in your businesses have mission statements? Can you tell me what they say? Can you? Awesome, that's because you have a coach. Yes. Do you know yours?
Yes. To promote community health literacy and the health of communities.
Awesome. I'm checking my time. Most people don't know what their mission statement is. Their company has one, but they don't know what it is. But I'd be willing to bet you that if you ask a business owner what their dream is, they can tell you. And here's the thing. A lot of employees will buy into the owner's dream before they buy into a mission statement. If you can get your employees to buy in on your dream, you're more than halfway there. But they don't understand the mission statement. They don't get it because it's not theirs, right? So that's the difference. I work with individuals who are ready to make their big dream come to life. So last year I was working with an accountant. His goal was to double his revenue. It was to double his revenue in 3 years. We're almost there. It's only been 1 year. That's pretty amazing. But that was his dream. That is his dream. He wants to double his revenue in 3 years so he can retire and have someone else buy the business. Because for those of you in business, we know that when your revenue goes up, your business is worth more, right? So that's what he wants to do. This is what coaching is about. So a lot of folks used to think that coaching was about, like Bill said, somebody on the golf course, swinging a golf club and becoming better, and that's true. Tiger Woods has a coach. Lance Armstrong had a coach. All of these folks had coaches. And here's why. We can't see what we're doing ourselves. But if somebody else watches us, they can give us feedback on what we're doing and how we're doing. And it might be to just tweak that golf swing just a tiny little bit to hit that hole in one. And that's what a coach does. They tell you to move your foot slightly to the left or slightly to the right, or whatever the case may be. Stand up straighter, bend over more. It's called observation and conversation. True story. My husband taught himself to play the mandolin. He wanted to get better. I said, you need to find someone to teach you. That's the only way you're going to get better. You can't get better by yourself. So he goes to his first mandolin lesson. He comes home. He says, guess what Dave did? I said, let me think. He watched you play, and then he told you how to tweak it. And my husband looked at me and he said, how'd you know that? Because that's what we do. He watched you play, and then he told you how to tweak it. That's what a coach does. So last night, I went through my schedule. I blocked out a couple of days, made myself available for any of you who might be interested in having a complimentary, absolutely no strings attached, coaching session with me to see if coaching is something that might be relevant for you. So I have some clipboards, I have some pens. If you are serious about, let you pass those around, about growing your business, about making your dreams come true, I would love to chat with you. There are a couple of pages behind the top pages. If you don't know your schedule for the next 2 Tuesdays or need a different day, I'm happy to just put your name, address, or name, email address, and telephone number, and I'm happy to call you and set something up. This is my passion. I don't know if you've figured that out yet. It was not being a probation officer. It's not my thing. Trust me, it's not my thing. I'm not a probation officer. My husband is a deputy sheriff, and that's close enough for me. I don't need to do that anymore. I want to personally thank Bill for inviting me to do this today. Bill, thank you so much. Bill and I are actually in BNI together. I thought I saw Chad. Yay, Chad.